Oh, hello, hello, hello. This is Aurelia Davis, the educator's educator, coming to you. Oh, this week is just going by so fast. It's already Wednesday, but I wanted to come to you this evening just to do some follow ups on some things. I came this morning. First of all, this is Aurelia Davis, the educator's educator, coming to you from Chicago. If you don't know much about me, I am a retired Chicago public school teacher. I did about 31 years in the system, and after retiring in 2012, I decided to just keep on going, keep the wheels going as far as supporting teachers in the system that are still working in the system. And I have just been on. I have a website. My website is aureliadavis.com. Feel free to go over there and see some of the offerings that I have. Lesson plan audits, personal curriculums for children that are being taught at home, just all kinds of things, and consultations, and just basically anything and everything you think you might need. I have it to offer. But I just like to personally thank everybody that supported me on last week when I attended the preschool, kindergarten conference in Schaumburg, Illinois, that was given by the ILASCD conference. I believe I said it right. But anyway, that was a fantastic event. And over 1,600 people, over 1,600 educators in the areas of preschool and kindergarten. A lot of kindergarten teachers, and that's my forte. That's my passion. I'm early childhood all the way. I love early childhood, and then I love also working with teachers and helping teachers stay in the field of education. So, just came to talk a little bit about what's going on. Teachers, You're mid-year in the system now. You're mid-year now. You have basically. I'm going to just be honest. You have gotten over the hump. We are in the month of March. We are in the month of March, and because we're in the month of March, you're going to be coming to the end of the journey as far as the school year is concerned. You're going to be edging toward assessments and report cards and getting those last projects out of the way for your children so that they'll be pretty much on task and doing things and accomplishing things for the school year. Some children are going to be getting ready for some teachers are going to be getting ready for graduations and assemblies and things like that. So when I was teaching, this was the time that I just sort of laid back and just sort of relaxed a little bit, because by this time I would have gotten the major lessons in place for my students. I would have gotten the major lessons and curriculums in place for my students. And those curriculums and lessons would have taken place from September up to maybe February. So by the time you get to March, you're just starting to polish up and finish up a lot of things that you have already taught. You want to just to reassess to see if those children have some of the skills that you've been teaching for over the last 3 or 4 months, because it will be very important for them to take those skills over to the next grade that they're going to. And it's also good to start talking to some of the teachers that some of the other grades that these children are going to. In other words, when I taught third grade, I made it my business that by March or April, I started to talk to the fourth grade teachers. And what I did is I let them know exactly what I was able to accomplish and then what I was not able to accomplish. And the good thing is that this has been a full school year without any kind of interruption as far as the pandemic is concerned. So students have been in classes since September, and that's a good that is good, because it's been the consistency has is basically back in place. It doesn't mean that the children are revved up and ready, to do what they need to do, but the consistency of them going to school every day, 5 days a week, makes it better for educators in order to be able to teach better. So this is the time of the year when I was an educator. I would start talking to my fourth grade teachers because I taught third grade, and I wanted to let my fourth grade teachers know exactly things that I was able to cover and things that I was not able to cover. And when you say that, you sort of sit back and say, "Wow, I wasn't." No, everybody cannot meet the goal. Okay, do not beat yourself up if you have not been able to meet the goal, because I look at it this way: if you have five objectives for teaching, the year, whatever those objectives is science, social studies, math, and reading. If you have met some five objectives, maybe two objectives for each particular core group or course, if you are able to meet one or two or both of those particular core groups, you have did your job. That means that meaning that the students have in place what you have taught them, and they are keeping what you have taught them, instead of just hitting all of those particular objectives and the children have nothing. So cherish what you have been able to accomplish, cherish what you have been able to teach the children, and then the time it's time for assessment. It's time for you to go back and assess things that you have taught them, to see if they still remember some things that you taught maybe in September and October and whatever like that, because now you're polishing up and you're building on what you all have already taught, which is very, very, very important. And don't have any qualms about going to those teachers that those other grades that they're going to be going to, say, I didn't get to this. I did not get to this. Because basically what will happen is that that's where they will start come September. They will start in September teaching those children the things that you were not able to teach them. So it's the type of thing where you need to just basically, where one teacher leaves off, another teacher takes up. One teacher leaves off, another teacher takes up. Oh, that's Shanita. Nice to see you on there. I got some friends. Good to see people that I know as I continue to do this work. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and what I did do today, this morning, is I was able to go to the Holocaust Museum in Skokie. You can just look it up and Google it, and it'll give you the address. And they did an interesting exhibit on the Green Book. The Green Book. Now, when I say Green Book, what I mean, the Green Book was started back in, and I have one of the books here. The Green Book was started back in 1930s, the 1930s. And apparently what was going on, this Green Book, which this is not the Green Book, this is about the Green Book. But the Green Book was a book that was given to African Americans while they were traveling through the South. It was given to African Americans while they were traveling through the South. And it basically gave them heads up on areas where Jim Crow was still very heavy. In other words, so we, there was a time when African Americans would send the children back down south from the city. In other words, you're going down to stay with Aunt Maybelle, you're going down to stay with Aunt Lucy and whatever. They're sending them to Alabama, and they're sending them to Mississippi to just get away from the city itself. But at the same time, while they were doing this traveling, what ends up happening is that they were usually in cars. We weren't flying anywhere too much, but they were usually in cars. And what would happen is that they would have traveled through the South, but there were certain places they could not go. There were certain places they could not stay, certain places they could not stop. So if you saw a gas station on the side of the road and you needed to get gas, you needed to look in your Green Book to see if this particular gas station was on the list, where you can literally go in, and they would be a group that would serve African Americans. And if they were not a group that would serve African Americans, then you needed to just keep on going until you found one of the stations that would service African Americans. So I was able to attend this exhibit today, this morning, and I was just so intrigued, and it made me very, very happy to know about it because of the books that I've written, A New Land and in John Davis Legacy, and is currently working on the book It Happened in Lawndale. And this particular book that I'm working on now is basically goes into what was happening during the 60s, and that was the height of the civil rights era. But at the same time, there was still things going on with African Americans, because even though slavery was over, a lot of individuals did not accept that. They did not accept it. They didn't want to hear it, and so on and so forth. So if you have the opportunity to go over to the Holocaust Museum over in Skokie to see this exhibit, I think it'll be there till April 23rd. It'll be there till April 23rd. And take your children. Take your children. More than ever, we need to be exposing our children to a lot of things beyond February, about African American history beyond February, because they're coming up to the point and they're in a realm of thinking now that they feel that everything has been like it is, the way we see 2023 is the way it was in 1973. No, no, it's totally different. So the more we expose our children to our history, the better off our children will be. It has gotten to the point when you're starting to think about what states are doing, taking books out of the library, the critical race theory. They don't really want to talk about African American history. They really want to basically say that it did not exist, but it did exist. And some of it is still existing now. And we have to be very cognitive. We have to be very, very aware of it. We need to let our children and everybody know, if they're not going to teach it in the schools, then we need to teach it at home. If they're not going to teach it in the schools, then we need to teach it at home. Some of the books I did pick up this book right here. And this is talking about the Green Book. And if you look inside, it just talk about some of the places that it has a lot of pictures. Let me see if I can find some pictures of places. And, we're talking about restaurants where you can eat. We're talking about just all kinds of things. And then they did present like two children's books. This one's Going Places. Going Places, Victor Hugo Green and his glorious book. This is for young people. So even if you have to pick up a book like this and read it to young people, do that, because they need to know exactly what's going on, where we have come, where we have come from, and what we may still be going through now. And if, like I said before, if they're not going to teach it in the schools, then we need to teach it in our homes. Okay, I've said enough. I'm just so glad to get back to you and just to be able to continue to give support as far as teachers are concerned. Teachers, be very aware and start pulling things together. And you know what? I know some of you are going to probably be evaluated by your administrators, but sometimes I did find that I needed to evaluate myself, and I gave myself very high scores all the time. It made me feel good. I gave myself very high scores. And I took that opportunity because I cherished the work that I did. And I knew how important it was for me to be able to come in on a daily basis and teach those young people that were sitting in front of me. They really needed it. I needed to do it. And so I delivered it. I delivered it quality lessons on a regular basis for over 31 years. And I'm proud of myself. I give myself high hands up because I was very good at what I did. And you are good at what you're doing. If you're continuing to go into that classroom and meeting the smallest need of one child or the biggest need of another child, you are doing your job. And I truly, truly, truly support you. Keep on doing the work. Keep teaching. Take care and have a great evening. Bye bye.